This is Tim Pagani, Independent Living Skills Trainer at Access Living in Chicago.
Hi, this is Felicia Schaefer, and I'm with in Tacoma, Washington as the Associate Director.
Hi everyone, I'm Jody Hogan-Togler. I am at the Freedom Center in Middletown, Delaware, and I am a transitions coordinator.
Good afternoon, I'm Richard Wilson from the Costa Bend Center for Independent Living in McAllen, Texas.
Good afternoon. This is Laura Reina from Coastal Bend Center for Independent Living. I'm a relocation specialist at McAllen, Texas.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chelsea. I'm a self-direct oversight specialist for the Montana Independent Living Project in Montana.
I'll follow Chelsea. My name is also Chelsea. I live in Missouri with Empower Abilities, or formerly Southwest Center for Independent Living, and I'm one of the transition coordinators.
Wonderful. It's so great to hear everybody's voices, and I see folks introducing themselves in the chat. I'm so glad that you guys were able to make it. Those of you who are here, I apologize. There was a snafu. When we were doing advertising, one of our partners accidentally converted the time zones a little wrong. So I'm just so glad that you guys are all back. And again, just a reminder, feel free to turn on your webcam so we can see and hear you. And just so you're aware, today's call will be recorded. There were many folks who were unable to make it, would like to be able to access all your wonderful conversations and resources. So, hopefully that's okay with you, but I just wanted to let you know that it will be recorded. If you're using captioning, you can push the CC button to toggle that on your screen now. And just most of us, I think, are getting pretty familiar with Zoom since this is our life now. But if you're not, feel free to email me if at any point in time, you need help muting or unmuting or accessing anything here. It's Molson, molson.april@gmail.com, and I'm trying to monitor that email while we're running it. Again, if you're using just the phone, either you can use your mute function there, or you can do *6, and that should be able to work. And if at any point in time you have trouble with using your microphone, you can always type something into the chat, and I do my best to voice all of those questions and comments from there. And let's see, I think, just a couple more things. Again, for our peer community group, if you don't mind staying muted, if you're not speaking, it helps keep the noise distraction down. Please feel free to say your CIL and your city and state when you're making comments. It just helps us to get to know each other. And if you have, a nugget of information that somebody else wants to drill in on later, it's nice to know where you're from. And again, just have fun and give each other kudos for your hard work. Old ideas, maybe old to you, but new to somebody else. And there are no questions that are too small or too big. That's why we have peers. If you missed the last nursing home peer support call, you can find that on our website under the COVID-19 tab. And without further ado, I'm actually going to stop sharing screens so that we have access to our wonderful faces a little bit bigger and nicer, and it just makes it feel a little more conversational. So I'm going to stop that now. And with that, I just kind of want to open it up. Again, today's call is about nursing home transition or other congregate setting transition. Please feel free to bring any barriers or questions that you have to your peers. Or if you just want to give us an update on how it's going where you are, we would love to hear that too. So with that, I'd like to open it up. Is there any brave soul who'd like to go first to kind of talk about what's going on in your part of the world?
All right, I'll go first. So I'm kind of, can you hear me? You hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I'm kind of new to all of this, but I am trying to figure out what people do for housing options. So I can do all the footwork, I can get everything set up and all of that, but boy, finding housing is a really big thing here in Delaware. What are other states doing to help people get out of nursing homes and into the community? So it's a question.
Well, in Texas, we have 2 programs, and the first is to get them set up with Project Access. That sets them up on a 2-year waiting list, and it's within 2 years they get the housing. And then before that, we set them up with a tenant-based rental assistance, which is TIBRA for short. And that allows us to have a grant to be able to move them in directly to an apartment. It won't be well, it depends on the apartment itself. If it's going to be a permanent housing, or is it going to be something that just for now you're staying here, and then once that application comes through for the housing, they move to the housing. So that's in Texas, and I'm from Corpus Christi.
So you kind of give them a transitional housing. You get the grants to pay for the apartment until that 2-year wait list is up.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good idea.
Bernice, this is Jackie from Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living, which is also in Texas. And Project Access, at least for us, it's not available in all 254 counties in the state of Texas. So I don't know if that's specific just to, I think that's just, you know, there are pieces of it that are available, but not all throughout the state.
Yes, I've been even told that like transitional assistance supplement is not available in all the states, as well as STS, supplemental transition services, I believe.
Project Access used to be available in our area as well, with the McAllen, the Corpus Christi area. Then they switched to the TBRA. TBRA got pushed to Corpus Christi. And the Rio Grande Valley area, McAllen area, is 811 now. Which is we help pay, similar to Section 8, we help pay a portion of the rent for people that need transition.
Does anybody else want to add? I know last time we met, we had some folks who were talking about using MFP money. Some folks were actually able to use some of their CARES Act funds in order to stabilize folks. I don't know if anybody had thoughts that they would like to expand on those.
Sure. I'm Donna Gillette. I'm with the Resource Center for Independent Living in upstate New York. We have centers in Herkimer, Amsterdam, and Utica. I'm so glad to be part of the call today and listen to what everyone's doing. We're using a number of things here in New York State. We have an MFP program, Money Follows a Person program, through a grant through our New York State Association on Independent Living. And we combine that with some other things, including an Olmstead subsidy that's been made available for individuals in New York State wanting to explore community reentry. Each of our centers also provides regionally in each of the areas the centers sit outreach and a network of support and kind of a referral system with all of our nursing homes in each of our counties. So we really are able to put together a number of wonderful state-funded programs, and we have finally done our process and procedures, which has taken so long to get done through our Independent Living Center for CARES Act funding, through the, doing the application and doing, creating a loan library of assistive technology and all of that. So we are seeing requests coming in from social workers that we've reached out to that have individuals who have barriers to returning home from the nursing home that they just can't find a source for help with. So I'd like to see more referrals from the nursing homes, though, aside from the formalized MFP program and staff that we have. So I know that the directors of the satellite centers, myself for the Herkimer Center and our director for Amsterdam Center, are doing specific outreach, sending the CARES Act application for funding for urgent needs that we've developed, and talking to them about how they can use it to assist individuals who are looking at community transition.
Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
I also just wanted to add from Kay Marco in the chat for your question on housing. She says, in Kansas, we have some apartments that are income-based and not part of the housing authority, but are HUD. So you might want to look into that. Money follows the person. Money can be used for deposits and first month's rent. And you can also use any CARES Act dollars for transition to help supplement those. You know, if it's just they're looking for maybe some first month's rent, you know, that's something that CARES can also cover. And T-Mar is wondering, does anybody have an answer on how you can access money follows the person dollars?
Access it for what? Housing?
Well, we use it for transitioning the MFP.
Yeah.
But I think it's, honestly, I don't know how that MFP works. I think that's more with the MCO, the managed care organization that takes care of that or handles that. At least I don't know.
The MFP program, it's a state program. It's a federal program utilized by the state. The state doesn't necessarily have to take part in it. But that program gives a $2,400 grant that assists in somebody getting out of a skilled care facility. And that money can be used towards the first month's rent and deposit and utilities and so on.
Hi, Steve, Donna Gillette, thanks. It's good seeing you again, by the way. And answered, who asked the question? What state are you in?
Timor, what state are you in? Pennsylvania.
Oh, a neighbor then, not so far away from us. So like Steve said, states did not have to go after monies made available for MFP, the MFP program, but I would check to see who in your state, which maybe an independent living center got the funding, or maybe it's another community-based agency that got the funding to do the Money Follows the Person program, and connect with them, and they, you know, they'll help at every point in you know, with the application and the rules of the program, who's eligible and all that.
This is Christy in Kansas, and I would just say we don't actually have MFP here in Kansas. Our lovely state chose not to. However, we have Medicaid, and so we have NCOs that provide MFP under the label of just transition. And if you approach them, they should have access to those funds, and they actually contract with us to provide that service. So it's really, it's there, it's just reading.
I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
Something just blocked your photo. Kay Marco, your first name?
Christy.
Hi, Christy. So yeah, we have an MCO, you know, we have the managed care structure in New York State. And I was just wondering, as you were talking about that, are you finding that your managed care companies doing Medicaid, managed home and community-based service care, are you finding they're being generous with providing assistance to individuals?
No.
Oh, well, that, you know, it's
if you want me to be honest, no, but we can be persuasive, and
yes, yeah.
Some are more. We have 3 MCOs here, and one of them seems to be a little bit more user friendly. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I love your honest, quick response. Yeah, the struggle is real. Us here too sometimes.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm so glad that we don't have any shy folks, and we're just going to get right to it. Does anybody else have any questions or updates they'd like to give?
Hi, my name is Chiffon from Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm a peer outreach associate under the Image Center of Maryland. And just from my experience working with a client, the support planning agencies, sometimes they have resources for housing as well. And also, I don't know if any of you states have Catholic Charities, but here in Maryland, the Catholic Charities have a program for housing as well. You just, have to fill out an application, and it's for people that are 62 and older and for people that have disabilities. But those that have disabilities would be under a different category, and they would give them a different application with different apartments availability. So if that's helpful to anyone.
One of our biggest resources for housing here in Missouri, especially accessible housing, is tax credit property. Here in Missouri, it's under MHDC, which is the Missouri Tax Credit Program, but developers can access the funds and develop properties under this tax credit guideline. And we get referrals for a lot of these properties being accessible the way they are. They're built with zero entry. They're completely accessible, ADA approved. And that's a lot of our resource right there for people coming out of nursing homes. And we're notified immediately with the people that we've contracted with, or the people that we partnered with with the contractors. I mean, the owners, we partner with them. And we usually get 4 referral units out of each complex that they put up. So we get first dibs on these referral units whenever they come open. So if we've got somebody coming out of a nursing home, then it's income based, it's tax credit. And so they're on average paying $250 a month for rent. They've got a fully accessible unit, comes with a washer, dryer, some of which we've even got set up that come with transportation through different busing systems and so on. Comes with internet even. And we've got a unit even that comes with a live-in aid that has an apartment there in the complex as well. So these are just things that you could work towards if you partner and, I don't know, network with some of the developers in your area. And if you're
our developers are not in it for the tax credits.
Right.
There's no profit in it.
Definitely
There's no profit.
Thing, huh?
There's no profit in it, to be honest with you, and most of them will tell you that. It's basically for people that they want to make a difference in the community.
Yeah.
Thank you. Another question from the chat. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something to add, Darius?
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Darius, somebody mentioned the 811 vouchers. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. Somebody mentioned the 811 vouchers. So we have a couple different programs under which we transition, but one of them, we don't have the subsidies. And the 811 vouchers are actually federal vouchers from HUD. So we cooperated with our local housing authority because those vouchers require that people either are homeless. The badge actually that we got that people needed to have a disability. So we basically used the vouchers also to folks that we were moving out of nursing facilities. So maybe contacting your local housing authority, and you might be a resource for them too, to apply for the vouchers. The applications are usually once a year, sometimes twice a year, I'm hearing. So it's not a quick fix, but long-term it might work.
Regarding the voucher programs, we've recently developed a voucher program through Medicaid. One of our representatives that works for Medicaid that runs the MFP program here in our state got with several of us back in January about setting up and creating some vouchers specific for MFP through the Public Housing Authority here. And so we've just started, we implemented them last month, but we've got vouchers that go to the Public Housing Authority. If we've got somebody in a nursing home who's recently been approved for MFP, then they automatically fill out one of these referrals for this voucher. And then as soon as they find housing that accepts vouchers or an apartment that accepts vouchers, then they go to the top of the list for the voucher list, and they've got dibs on housing before anybody else does.
And
This
a
is,
local
I'm
housing
sorry.
authority here in Kansas, or in Salina where I work, actually contacted me, and well, we contacted each other pretty much. They had the option to write an additional grant to get another 25 mainstream vouchers for folks who have disabilities. And so we assisted them with writing for that, and they were awarded it, and we're on our second year with that. So that helped a lot around here.
Steve,
This is Bruce Morgan.
oh, I just wanted to ask what state you were in, Steve.
I'm in Missouri. I'm with Empower Abilities.
Okay, thank you.
And you contacted Steve, who did you contact to get that set up with developing a voucher program?
Medicaid and MFP contacted us. It's a
Oh,
mainstream
okay.
voucher. It's part of the mainstream voucher process.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the same program that we did with the Housing Authority here.
Great.
This
Go
is
ahead, Dean
Bruce
Morgan. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we worked with our, I'm from the Dale McIntosh Center in Anaheim, California. And we worked with our housing authority to access the NED2 voucher, which is the non-elderly disabled vouchers. I don't know how many people are familiar with those, but it's for people under the age of 62, currently residing in a facility for 90 days or longer. And
yeah, we did that. We did that
vouchers.
also at MISO. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you.
That's okay. Yeah, we use those vouchers too. And we got them to request 50 vouchers. And we have been working with those for about 5 years. You know, people pass away or they drop out of the program. And those vouchers seem to be keep recycling through. So it might be something you could work with your housing authority to ask them if they want to apply for them.
Give me that.
I have a question. I have a follow-up question. Is it Bill Morgan, Bill or Bob?
It's Bruce.
Oh, I got it totally wrong then. Sorry, Bruce. So when the housing authority commits to setting aside more vouchers through this, you said NEP2 program or NEP2 vouchers, is that money that you get set aside that you get flack about from any group? Does it like dwindle the total pot available for other vouchers? Or how does that work?
It's a separate pot with them. It's the non-elderly disabled voucher,
okay.
NED. 2 meaning it's the second issuance of those vouchers.
Okay.
Don't know if they're still available through HUD, but it's worth checking on. It's just a separate set of vouchers that were set aside specifically for those people in the community that the rules are under the age of 62, been in a facility for 90 days or longer, and Medicaid eligible.
This sounds like our Olmstead subsidy in New York State, very similar.
Probably similar, yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to change the subject right quick before it's already, you know, time flies really fast. I do want to know, what is anybody doing about the transitional peer support? Because honestly, that is where I see that we need something going on there, because we have people that are going back into the community, being in the nursing home for maybe 6+ maybe years, 2 years plus, you know, and they don't know how to use a smartphone. They don't know how to set up an email. They don't know how to do just pretty much the basic stuff we take for granted. And nowadays, everything is online. Everything has to be done, you know, on a computer. And I just want to know what everybody else is doing as far as the transition. How do you start I mean, I know how to start a peer group, but like, how do you start getting into nursing homes when right now we can't even get in, you know?
We're utilizing Zoom. That's part of, I mean, when we transition somebody out, that's part of independent living skills training. I mean, whether it be electronics or anything that they don't know how to do, we train them how to do. And we can utilize Zoom to do these things right now since we can't see them in person necessarily. But it
sounds easier. It sounds easier said than done, because we have in my area, we have nursing facilities that are still ancient, using fax machines that
Right.
not an email, and they don't even I personally am reaching out to 2 nursing facilities that I've already mentioned that, hey, you got CARES Act money, can't you just use get yourself a tablet? That way we can do this communication with the members.
But you can email them, right?
No, I have to talk directly through a social worker to contact them.
Well,
If
that's
you
what I mean.
have-
You
if
can
have
email.
CARES Act money, you should be able to purchase like iPads that you could check
Right.
out to your customer so that you can leave it with them and then you can set up those appointments that way.
Yes, I
Exactly.
have made that suggestion at my at SIPSIL at my area, and I think they're
Bernice.
taking it into consideration over here too.
Can you
Bernice,
email
can you-
the social workers?
Oh. I missed the other person. I saw Steve asked if you can email, and then there was somebody else talking as well, and I didn't.
Yes,
catch-
hi. Sorry, this is Justin from Atlantis community in Denver, Colorado. And just to go back on Bernice's question, one thing that we're doing, so we have a Section 8 like department as well at our SIL, as well as a transition program. So, which I'm in, I run our transition program. And so one thing that we're trying to do, like more so with the post-discharge and like more so getting people like situated to live independently is already having an IL specialist set up with them once that post-discharge date is set, kind of to make sure that situation isn't gonna like, fall back to where they end up in a nursing home. So anything that is an issue outside of like the risk mitigation plan, like they'll also be working with a IL specialist to achieve those goals that they've already have set out. So we're kind of trying to like transition after the transition into like not actually leaving the community or sorry, not the community, leaving our SIL to where they still have that support needed if they were to have any issues.
And I like that idea. I've been kind of tapping on the idea of trying to touch with the IL specialist here and at SIPSIL. I know that their hands are full with everything that's going on, but I do see that that is the need that we need. So I like that idea. Thank you very much, Justin. And Steve, I'll just DM your my email address. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, what I was getting at with the email question though, in our facility, we are the IL specialist. The transitions coordinators are the IL specialist. We train them in the areas that they need training to be able to live independently on their own. We want them to be prepared before they get out, whether it means working with them on budgeting, just daily tasks that they may need assistance with or may need to learn how to do, whatever it may be. We've got IL specialists that support these things or specialize in each area, and we assign one of them or we give them the material they need to learn. And why I was asking about the email is I understand not everybody's got internet. They may have email capabilities, limited internet, and have email capabilities, but if they do, I mean, even if you can email a simple PowerPoint that you put together on whatever topic it is that they need to learn about, IL training that they need, emailing them some kind of a simple PowerPoint would be a step in the right direction as far as training goes.
That's an excellent idea. I love that. That's very good.
And Steve, have you developed anything you want to share with our network?
We've got all kinds of PowerPoints, but primarily what we do is research. We do outreach with we cover 95 different nursing homes in our region, and we do outreach PowerPoints with all those nursing homes. Keep them updated on the MFP program in our area.
In an age of COVID, obviously, it's changed a bit. So I was just wondering if your center had developed something that you thought was really working for folks and you're getting feedback that it was, really needed.
Can I step in just for a second? Edward Mitchell, Jackson, Tennessee, IL specialist. Something that you guys may want to consider, what I've been using with some of my individuals that really don't know technology, is maybe installing TeamViewer on their tablet, or if you're doing that, so then you can remote in, so they don't have to worry about somebody dropping in on them. So they have to give you the code every time. but when they're having those technical, issues, they're able to give you that code. You're able to plug it in and then, basically remote control or walk them through the steps of how to do that email, how to get that YouTube, and just how to do those functions that the nursing home facility, the individuals might not know how to do, but you can help navigate them through it.
Eddie, where are you from again?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, okay. No, that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Is anybody familiar, and I'm still kind of fresh on this, the government telephone that you can receive from, is that, I know that they've been coming out with smartphones as of lately. But are you able to get that before they leave?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Actually, we usually have the social workers in the nursing home try and apply for that before they ever even get out. But yeah, they could get them in the nursing home.
Yeah.
We're talking about the infamous Obama phones, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
did the young lady who was asking that say that the Obama phones are now smartphones? Did you say that?
The
Yes,
last
they
one that
are.
was recent was my
Really?
sister got a smartphone. Yes.
Thank you.
They're smartphones, but they have very limited connectivity, and most of my consumers blow through that really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Not
I
good
can
quality
see
at all.
it would make sense then as part of using, getting CARES Act dollars to fund for prepaid cards.
That's a great idea.
Hi, everybody. My name is Juanita Perez, and I was the Rose to Community Living Program Manager with the Center for Independence in Lakewood. I also held the title of a Community Choice Guide. And with that, we did have a contract with the state for those who had Medicaid, and we would use that money that followed the person to transition them out of institutions into the community. And it's part of teaching them the technologies was part of the fee for services that would come through the Medicaid program. And we also had a relationship with a housing authority that issued those vouchers for the non-elderly disabled. And so now I am with Alliance of People with Disabilities, and my hope is to rebuild the program using the same avenues, and hopefully getting in touch with the state to get that contract running. And so I want to appreciate you guys. I'm learning so much and remembering to add on to what I remember as when I was with Center for Independence.
Wonderful. I just wanted to really quick double back around and sweep up some things from the chat room for access. Somebody said, there was one question that was asking, they said that they had 3 people that had contacted them and moved out of the nursing home on their own, but have no furniture, no TV, minimal household items. And had anyone else had that issue, and how did you assist them? And some folks were kind of answering a little bit, just saying that, unfortunately, probably if they left before they were approved for MFP, you can't, money follows the person, you can't use that money. You can, however, use CARES Act funding to purchase those items for them.
Yes, exactly.
And Paula asked about the CARES Act funding. I did drop that last CARES Act FAQ that came out from ACL into the chat box. I'm going to drop my email in there too. If anybody ever has CARES Act funding questions, I'm more than happy to help field them. I know more than I want to about it. And then the other thing that I just wanted to sweep up from from down there, people were talking a lot about technology issues. Folks were saying Owltech has devices such as iPads and phones to donate. And then they were talking about the quote unquote Obama phones, those government phones. And then one thing that I think it was Bruce Morgan, I think it's Bruce. Bruce was saying, that the nursing facilities don't actually have internet, even if they have a device. And I just wanted to throw out there that we've worked with several CILs that have used CARES Act money to purchase tablets with a data plan. And so if they do not have internet at the nursing home facility itself, you can bring in that tablet with the data plan, and so it connects automatically. Some of the SILs actually partnered. If you have a state AT program, or you have a partnership with somebody who is, university systems get steep discounts on data plans, and purchasing things like tablets from Verizon and other companies. So it would be worth looking into that partnership. And then just one last question, Stowe was asking, how do you train people on Zoom if they don't have Zoom? So from our last call, I pulled out from the transcript, Frank was telling us about a program called Senior Planet. And they will actually assist nursing homes to set up and train individuals with their own technology or with available technology, like if your center is able to provide that. Senior Planet will go in, and he had dropped in that website. So I just really wanted to double back and clean up the chat and open it back up again.
She could possibly check local furniture banks. We've had Northwest Furniture Banks here in Pierce County, Washington. So maybe looking into the furniture banks would be a suggestion.
You mentioned something about state AT program, and then you said university program. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so what I was saying was, so every state has the accessible technology program. So sometimes those are also connected with universities. And if that is the case, I apologize, you guys, my husband is, the water heater guy showed up right at an unideal time. But if it's connected with the universities get educational steep discounts from Verizon, Cellular One, and those other programs. So if that state AT program is connected with the university, which many of them are, they've been willing to help connect with centers and partner with them to purchase technology.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Terry is from Chicago. So I have a question. We were talking a little bit before, providing services before people move out of facilities, but I don't know if any of your agencies have any policy for not visiting people at homes, especially at the higher rates, of infections. So I wonder, how do you guys do this? Because our programs require follow-ups for a year. And yeah, doing this, without seeing people, it's kind of hard.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard from the Coastal Bend Center for Independent Living in McAllen. When we do relocation services, we transfer the resident from a nursing facility back into the community. At this current time, we have to do everything online, which means they have STS services or TOS services. We have to purchase everything via Walmart.com or Lowe's.com, and they have it delivered to them. We do follow-ups on the phone. We cannot see them face-to-face unless it's like teleconference, FaceTime or something. And so far, everything right now is social distance. We try to stay away as much as possible. We're not even allowed to go into our offices at this time in McAllen. So it's we're having that issue. It's a big issue.
So Richard, Donna Gillette, upstate New York. So I know that the way we've always done nursing home transition and diversion, of course, especially transition, people need to look at apartments available and go and see potential apartments that they want to rent and all of that. And so how, Steve, you had talked last time on the call about how you guys were kind of navigating that when, because our center is the same as Richard's. We're not allowed to see customers at all. So you had talked a little bit, I think, about how you guys were doing that. If you want, exactly what you said, how you were doing that.
We're doing actually more now than what we usually do, but we're using the precautions that we need to take. The MFP program here in our state, through different funding sources through MFP, they've allowed us to get PPE that we need to be able to go out and continue on with the transitions. We don't go into the nursing homes. We're not allowed to do that. But on the day that they transition out, the client transitions out, we meet them at the nursing home. They have their own transportation, family, friends, even if it's a taxi cab or something, but we don't transport. We help them move all their things to the new location that they're moving to, the apartment. They get the lease signed. We go out and we do the shopping. Some things we order online, like Walmart.com, things like that. But most of the things here, most everywhere is open back up right now here. So we take the precautions. We go out and we do transitions as we always have. But when everything was closed down, we were continuing to do them because we've networked, we've developed relationships with a lot of local companies here in town that we use frequently. We don't go out and look for corporations to buy furniture and things like that through primarily because it costs more for the client. We try and save them money, and we don't buy anything that they don't want. I mean, they have the final say in everything, but we get furniture through thrift stores here in our town, and we save them a lot of money by going through that. And during the shutdown, because of the relationships that we built with these people, they allowed us to come in when they were closed and pick things up that
Nice.
were going to our clients' home. So we were able to continue a transition to getting the things that we need because of that.
Donna, you had mentioned looking at apartments. This is
right.
Thistle in Iowa. My sister personally is moving from her current group home to a different group home and isn't able to go look at apartments and things like that. So we have done a lot of virtual tours, or me going in with a mask and
okay. Wow.
or Zooming to do kind of our own virtual tour. Oh, what would you like to see next? Oh, you want to see how much closet space there is? Here's me standing in your new closet. You know, and things like that. So she is going to be able to move here in August, but she has not been physically to the townhouse she's moving into. We just toured it with me, helping look around with my phone. So
I mean, so it sounds, I mean, in New York State, at least with our independent living centers, our EDs being extremely cautious. I don't even know if she would allow us to do that, to go and meet with landlords and actually do that type of tour.
You might see if the landlord would do the tour.
No, it's not that. It's what our independent living center leadership team says we can or can't do.
Right, but if you have the landlord walk through the apartment with the phone.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like the property manager does it, and
Got
you guys
you.
are on the Zoom or whatever.
And you're
And
finding-
actually a lot of
okay.
apartments do have just
The virtual tours are right.
virtual tours.
But again, the nursing home resident has to have access to something that they, that
Right.
they see that on. Okay, thank you.
But that is the way to do it.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I've even heard of folks in the rural areas just being, you know, super old school, and it takes a little bit longer, but they've had the because the landlords and the real estate agents are also hurting to get these places rented.
Right.
They'll actually take pictures, and I've had them mail them before to the individual.
Oh.
So if they don't have a phone, they can at
Okay.
least look at a couple pictures so that they can have some
Nice.
informed choice. Takes a couple
Nice.
extra days, but they've been willing to do that because I think
Okay.
they're also really wanting to get these rented.
A lot of cell phones nowadays, they can take, like, what do they call them? Panoramic views of the apartment too.
Oh, yes, I've used that a few times.
My name is Leon Kane from RIL in Sacramento, California.
Hey, Leon.
Hello. You
Go
had
ahead.
mentioned about a person's moving out before the transition had been approved. We had that situation in the latter part of May. The lady wanted to move out with her son. So we have what we call rental assistance, which is mostly monies that are donated from different people in Sacramento. So we have to whip our first month's rent. Also, we have a very strong AT program, We Long iPass, and we also have a voice options program that is funded through the California Public Utilities Commission. Just want to share that with you.
Thank you. And again, I apologize, but if folks can just try to take a deep breath, or if you're done with your thought, if you don't mind saying end thought, that'll help. Our captioner is saying he's having a little bit of difficulty captioning us because we're rapid firing him so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
No to talk.
I know. I'm sorry. I totally shut it down, didn't I?
No, poor Steve.
Poor Steve. I did have one quick question from the chat I wanted to follow up on. They were just wondering, Bernice was wondering, Christy, who are you purchasing your internet from for your iPads for that?
It was that $27 a month.
For the $27 a month.
It's Next Tech Wireless, but
Oh, sorry, you're muted. You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Next Tech here in Kansas, but any cellular provider like Verizon or whatever should have that ability to put internet on your iPad.
I'm just looking at the cost being so, like, $27 sounds incredibly low. So I was
It's
just wondering.
$27 a month for a service plan.
Okay, but that doesn't include the iPad.
No, that doesn't include the iPad.
Okay.
But it puts internet on the iPad. We purchased the iPads through Nextech, and I got them for just under $300. And then we put that plan on them so that they would have internet access for folks who live in very rural areas.
I've been suggesting to get the Kindle Fire. Has anybody have any problems with that? Because I'm suggesting it over here that because they're so inexpensive, and if it's a nonprofit, they'll even give you more of a discount. I think it starts.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that way. I have a Kindle Fire myself personally. The iPad does a lot more.
Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. But okay, I do appreciate the opinion. Thank you.
If you're gonna buy them a bulk amount of them, make them give you a deal. Play your cards.
When you say bulk, do you mean like from the actual Apple store, or are you talking about somebody who would you recommend I talk to?
Well, here in Kansas, I got mine from Nextech. But who's your cellular provider?
Well, we have two low income providers. I believe it's Metro PCS and Cricket Wireless, and then we have, of course, the big heads, T-Mobile.
Yeah. Just give them a call and have them give you an estimate on what they would charge you and pit them against each other. And if you're going to purchase a number of them, they'll probably come down pretty good.
I like that idea. I'll suggest that. Thank you.
You bet.
You can try that. I mean, it depends on what your goal is. I'm happy with the Kindle Fire, with the 10-inch one. But in the middle between that and an iPad is also the Samsung Galaxy Tab or something, Tab A or something like that. They're pretty decent as well. I'm an Apple person through and through. I like that, but it is really expensive. And Apple does not give you a discount until you have spent $5,000 or more with them and created a business. Just an FYI.
Thank you. Yeah, the Kindle Fire, it just seems like it would be more cost effective that you can, and especially when you're buying a bunch in bulk, you could buy it from Amazon easily with the nonprofit, tax exemption and stuff. So
depends on what you want, what you're going to do with the end uses for it.
Exactly. I was thinking like even that Senior Planet, I love that website, by the way. That's great for just anybody, really. And you can learn a lot on that. But yeah, that would be mostly for what it would be used for. It would be mostly for just, being online with somebody and talking and just being.
Well, another reason we bought them is it gives us the opportunity for electronic signatures when we're out and about. If we forget to bring an extra form, then you can just pull it up on one of those iPads and get it signed right there.
Yeah, I know that you can get, I believe, Adobe, not DC, but it's pretty much the Adobe PDF, and you can do sign it, fill and sign for free.
Yeah.
So I think that would be okay, as long as we just put that program on the pad before it gets sent or given.
Right.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, can you guys believe it? Just like Bernice said earlier, time flies when you're having fun. We've got about 10 minutes left. Did anybody else have questions that they wanted to workshop with their peers?
I just want to throw out, I know for those looking for like furniture, something that I'm part of a local fraternity through my college, but also some of the other universities. I know that things have changed during COVID, but once things kind of get back to normal, if you're looking for furniture, there are always college students that live across country, PhD students that are just want to get rid of all their stuff and be able to get back home. And they're always willing to let it go, especially, you know, your agency, or they know you're with a nonprofit. They're more than willing and their parents to bring it to you, drop it off, just so they can move out of their apartment and get back on their flights and head back wherever they need to head to.
Great. Somebody else in the chat just wanted to mention that an Alexa or Echo device through Amazon is really simple to set up, and you can do video calls and such on those as well. I think you just need to have Wi-Fi.
Aren't those expensive or more on the expensive side? At least the device required for the video calls?
I posted that, and actually, I think the device itself is $99, and then if you want to stand for it, it's like $29 or something, or $25. So I don't know how that price compares to the other things, but that's been helpful once we, you know, folks that we've transitioned, especially, you know, with this disconnect from other people, and for individuals that really aren't tech savvy at all. Once we're able to assist them getting into their apartment and help them set up the Echo device, and this is just not promoting Amazon, but you know, the Amazon Alexa device, that it's really nice. That way they can have audio calls with other folks and get some other things off of it as well, music and all that. But and yes, they do need internet. Here in Colorado, I don't know what it's like all over the country, but through Comcast, folks are able to get internet for $10 a month. So,
well, it's not that way in New York State with Spectrum being a monopoly and all. It's horrid. You guys, that's amazing. You're getting it for that.
Yeah, it's I'm sure incredibly rare. So
I'm spending $70 a month just for internet at home. In Spectrum.
Here in Missouri, if you have AT&T and you're on food stamps, you can get internet for $15.
Nice.
That is awesome.
That's of course after they
Very
move out of
nice.
the nursing home.
I don't know. I've never heard about that being the case in New York State, though. My advocates would have heard about that. I have not heard about that.
The cheapest I've heard it in New York State is like $27, I think. And that was like rare.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's tremendously expensive. It's so cost prohibitive for everywhere.
I just wanted to run back to the chat quick. So Aubrey wants to say we have Comcast Essentials for $10 in Pierce County, Washington. And we have one last, this is probably one of our last questions from Jane Johnson. She is wondering, have any CILs been able to negotiate a sub-capitation rate with Medicaid MCOs for transition services?
Interesting. Interesting question.
This is Jane. Sorry, I was working on a grant application but listening at the same time. But I know there was a pilot project with Centene, and I think the state of Kansas and maybe one other state where to do the nursing home transition work. And I didn't know how far along that had gone. They had promised to do it in Florida, which is where we are, and we have not been able to get any traction. But we were really interested in putting together a bundled rate for services that they would subcapitate, since the managed care organizations get that per member per month fee for a person. So we would take a fraction of that to use to affect the transition service somebody needs, and with the idea that it would save the managed care organization money, because that person wouldn't be in a nursing home, they'd be in the community. But didn't know if anybody else has been able to negotiate that, and if you did, what services you put in there, and how did you do the pricing?
Well, I haven't done it, but that sounds like a great idea to do. And
I
would do
know.
internet and phone. I mean, you can get anything on the internet anyway, as far as viewing.
That's amazing. I had never even thought of that idea.
Well,
That's
it's
an incredible idea.
Yes, that's happening here in Kansas. However, they aren't contacting centers for independent living to do so.
Well, and I think in our experience here, I've approached the 3 largest Medicaid managed care organizations because we're all managed care. Centene is one of the larger ones, and they're now acquiring WellCare, so they'll be even bigger.
Right.
But I really think that if we could leverage the power of all the CILs to approach the managed care organizations to kind of present our values proposition that, you know, if they were to partner with us, we can add, we're an additive thing, it wouldn't just be fee for service. If we could come up with a bundled rate and a price for that, we would provide the transition. We could leverage other things that CILs have at their disposal so that a managed care company doesn't. Plus we create a lifelong relationship with that person who's transitioning, and we can help connect them with natural supports in the community so that they can be, be successful. So I really feel like CILs offer a unique proposition to the MCOs, but my experience is that they don't understand who we are, what we do, and so we have to tell that story. But I think if we could tell it, you know, as a group, or identify some states that are ready to try it and do it as a pilot to show the success, because we can talk to their bottom line. It would save them money, and they get paid the same amount regardless of where the person lives, from the state Medicaid agency. So if we can if we can have them spend less on that person, that's actually profit to them. And in some areas like in behavioral health, I know they've been able to work out profit sharing agreement.
I agree with you 100%.
Hey, Jane, Donna here, I vote you to chair that committee for us.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to. I mean, really, because I know my members, I'm with the state association, but I know my members are really anxious to do this. And I think there's a real business opportunity for both the CILs and the managed care organizations. And, if we can, we just need to put the package together, and the pricing of it is the hard part for me. I don't know what it would, and what those services are, but.
Do you see that possible as a national ILC effort? I'm just concerned about the differences between the states that we've been talking about on all these calls, and we know very well all the problems, the variations from state to state. I'm wondering if you feel that would be possible as a national effort.
I think it would be, and I think you get probably more traction out of your state Medicaid agency than the managed care organizations up front. But because in our state, they have written into the requirements for the managed care contracts that they have to demonstrate capacity to do this kind of thing. The problem is they don't know how to, but they also don't know who the skills are, so we can bring that together. But I do think if we come up with a national template, then state by state or plan by plan, you would drop in the ingredients into that template. But the template would be that you would identify a person in an institutional setting, and then you'd create a goal for that person to transition to the community, and then the ingredients it would take to make that transition successful that could be billed to Medicaid.
Right.
You put those in your bucket, price that bucket, and then, if you said, I'll do 20 transitions for you, and I'm going to charge you $500 or $5,000 for a transition. On some, you might spend $7,000, but on others, you might spend $2,500. So the goal, the key is to come up with a price that limits your risks so that you cover your expenses, but is reasonable enough that you can be successful.
All right, I know you're running out. Oh, sorry.
I was just wanting Mary's thoughts on that.
What did you say?
Mary? Yeah.
Well, you put me on the spot right at the last minute. No, actually, I would like to, Jane, if you want to throw your email in the box, I would like to visit with you a little bit. I have some thoughts on that. I do. And then I think maybe we can talk about it a little bit more and try to have another call and maybe even do a smaller group just to kind of see some ideas like that. I think that's an interesting one.
Mary, can I ask a question, Mary, on that? Or you think, you know, I was thinking about National Council on Independent Living as a platform, you know, reaching out to our state regional reps on this. And I don't know if they have any type of committee like this. So that might be a way of, you know, facilitating and coalescing this idea into a national project.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will let you know this because we're running out of time. April and Nickel are partnering on a few projects. And April has really, and I wanted to give Alyssa a minute, but I think we're out of time. But April has been taking on nursing home transition as one of our main platforms right now because we think it's so important during COVID. So I think this is something we'd be interested in. I know we're out of time, but I do want to mention that actually we, Alyssa, my colleague at April, has been running a peer support group for folks. We came up with a letter that is urging states to transition people out of nursing homes and other congregate settings. It's on the April website. If you would like to sign on to that letter, you can email us. You can email Alyssa, and I'll throw her in the chat. There is some great information in that letter. And if you ever have, oops, I just emailed Jane privately, darn it. But if you ever want to learn more about that group, we would be happy to chat more. And I do think this is a great idea. Lots of good talks happening here. Somebody asked if we could get the peer support session. Absolutely, we'll get the recording out. I dropped the email list that I got from the last call we had into the chat. You can download it from there. And if you're not on that list, please email me and I'd be happy to add you to it because we send the recordings and the resources out to that list after each of these calls. And then we'll have it on our website too. So I'm sorry to like run us down, but I want to make sure that we close out our captioner when we promised that we would. And I think we should probably do this again.
Definitely.
Sounds great. Thank you, everybody, for the wonderful information.
You. Bye.
And we'll be doing it again.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Hey, Mary, can you add me to that list?
Who said that? Christopher?
Justin from Atlantis at Denver.
Absolutely, Justin. I'll throw you on that list.
Yes.
And you got a
Thank
whole
you.
bunch more, Mary, in your chat room to add to.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to download the chat and we'll get it added. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.